Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reality of an Avid Gamer, and today we are talking about Forspoken. So, as of recording this, I played for about 12 or so hours. I actually quit making notes after a certain point and just kept on playing. But I actually am having a lot of fun with this game. So, we'll start off the review section by talking about that. It's actually really fun. I mean, it's, your basic open world stuff. So there's like a bunch of treasure chests and collectibles and shit scattered all through the world. But like actually traveling through the world, you can put like 5 different markers down. So you can just pop a few markers down, traverse the world, and just go from there. The parkour that's in the game is actually pretty fun to use. One little thing I liked is that it establishes it before she even gets her whole magical powers. So to me, that's always a really cool thing when they establish that kind of stuff before getting their superpowers or anything like that. It's part of her character growing on the streets of New York and just kind of having a hard time with things. So she learned how to get around, and a lot of her movement definitely does show that. Frey's initial story is heartbreaking. She was an orphan growing up as long as she can remember, and I believe since birth she was abandoned. I'm kind of hoping that does end up tie into being Athia, so it's like a kind of returning to your roots kind of story. But it's heartbreaking, it's very sad. I actually teared up a few times in the beginning. Especially when she was talking about how she's just ready to get out of there and start her new life. It's a good setup, and it's a good way to get into her as a character and just kind of see where she's come from. I do like that the first chapter, probably about the first 30 to 45 minutes, are in New York with Frey as a normal person without any powers or anything. I really like how it establishes that to get us to, get to know Frey and like her as a character before anything happens. One thing that people seem to be harping on so much about Forspoken, to the point actually that I muted the word on Twitter, was that the cringe dialogue. For one, I'm not seeing any cringe dialogue. Like, people are being overly nitpicky on the stuff that they are taking out of context, and it is exhausting seeing people just try to tear apart this game over some dumb lines. Like, I will admit the original trailer wasn't cut together well to get people like interested, but it wasn't bad. I mean, talking about, oh yeah, I have a magical cuff and I fight dragons. I do that now. Like, she's 21. You show me a 21-year-old that doesn't talk cringeworthy. You actually show me some even 30s and 40s people that don't talk dumb and cringeworthy, and I'll call you a liar. Because her dialogue is just how a 20-something would speak. And even all of it, she's not cringeworthy 24/7. Like, she's got a couple of lines here and there, and to be quite frank, most of the people I've ever talked to do that. It's a dumb argument to get nitpicky over, especially when the game is, it's pretty decent. It's not the next 10 out of 10 masterpiece game or anything, but it's a genuinely fun time. I'm having a lot of fun dicking around with the spells and just kind of parkouring around and dipping around, and like it's really fun, and it really does. For a not superhero game, it definitely makes you feel like one. It's very fun, and it's so stupid to see the little bits of cringe dialogue go around as like the worst thing ever out of this game. That it's, absolutely unplayable because of a handful of lines. And honestly, most of those lines made me laugh, like out loud. There's a lot of times when, we'll do the exhale from nostril laugh kind of thing, but like there's some parts out of here that have genuinely made me laugh, and I don't get all the bitching about the dialogue. Frey herself is a delight. There was a scene early on in the game where she was talking to Olivia, the little girl that she meets when she gets to Athia, and she's basically giving her tips on how to be a pickpocket, and that was one of those scenes that I laughed at because it endears us to her, and like instead of just being mad at the kid or whatever, she's like, hey, you're good, but you can be better. And it was just funny to me. Frey and Vambrace, or, Cuff, they're a pretty good reluctant partner pairing at first, but they are getting to the point where they're taking digs at each other, and a scene that I just finished up, probably about halfway through the game now, but a scene that I just finished up, he made a really big, deep cut at her that got her to do something that she didn't want to do because she knew that he was right. And it's really cool to see their relationship evolve like that. Honestly, one of the funniest parts, to me at least, is the idioms that we use on a regular basis, because the world of Athia is like a medieval world. There's not any advancements in technology. It doesn't even look like anybody outside the Tantas and Frey can use magic. Which that's probably foreshadowing a plot point, but I have no idea. I like going into the shit blind and just enjoying it while it happens. But like, it is strictly a medieval thing. Now, some of the styles are like kind of futuristic looking. Like the first Tanta's crown reminds me of Prey, with the little triangles all stuck together in like a pattern thing going across her entire head. It's got some really cool off-the-wall designs, but it is strictly a medieval world that doesn't have much in the way of technology or advancements. So, like I said, the idioms going over everybody's head is just funny, because Frey will just nonchalantly say it, and it's like, oh right, nobody knows what I'm talking about. And also, like, the couple of people that have seen her cell phone are like, oh, what's that? And then she's like, oh, it's just a junky old phone. And then she, like, especially the kids are delighted that you can go take pictures of the outside, because everybody's been trapped in the town for at least, I think, 20 years. And so, like, the kids haven't seen the outside, basically, and she goes and takes pictures of the outside, because Frey is immune to the break, which is the big thing that's covering the land and making everything go sideways. She's immune to that, so she goes and takes pictures for them, and they're delighted to see it. And she just kind of is one of those things that she took for granted, her modern conveniences, and then, like, people are amazed by it. And it's one of those neat little world building things that I like for the world itself and for Frey. So now that I'm done with all of the like big positive stuff I'm talking about, there's only a handful of complaints I really have. The fisheye UI is a little irksome. It was, I mean, it's been a while since I've actually played the demo, but from what I remember, they did tone it down a little bit. It's still there. It is a little irritating to look at, but it's nothing that detracts too much, and it's not like it's big and blown out. Like I said, I think it was worse in the demo, but I might be wrong. So it's still there, and that was something that I wasn't a fan of when I played the demo, and was hoping they would just take it out. But it's not horrible, just I don't like looking at it. The only other thing that kind of irks me a little bit is the pauses during and after cutscenes can be a tad long. So one good thing this game does, for the most part, is a lot of times when it's dialogue that could be spoken while Frey is moving, Frey has to be stationary. And which is good because it'll keep you from missing out on some dialogue. I always hate it whenever games program in dialogue, but they don't account for people like me who are going to zip from objective to objective and then potentially miss out on some of the conversation. But there are pauses, like after the cutscene, there's probably a good 1 to 3 seconds, basically of just pause before it cuts and you get control back of Frey. It's one of those things that it's noticeable. It's not bad per se, but it's like, okay, the cutscene's over, I want to get back into the action. And you just have to take a couple of extra bits. It might be a disguised loading screen, I don't know. But I don't know. It's one of those things that just confounds me more than anything. It performs really good. I am playing on a PS5. I think there's only been like a handful of frame dips I've seen. And that was like, in boss fights with a bunch of magic and particles and floating everywhere. And I think it dropped maybe to like 30 frames for a couple of seconds, or actually it might run at 30 frames now. I don't know, I'm not a frame person, or at least I can't see them really. But anyway, I'm not noticing anything major as far as slowdowns or performance or anything. It's performed great, hasn't crashed on me, so that's always a huge plus too. And that's really all I have to say about Forspoken for now. Like I said, I'm on chapter 8 right now, and there's like 13 chapters in the game. Well, I guess I'm a little more than halfway, but you know, it's about the time when I would make the like halfway review point. TLDR and the whole thing, I don't understand all the complaining people have been making about Forspoken. It is a good, fun game. People wanted to bash the cringy dialogue. It's really not that bad. Like, there's a couple of cringy lines here and there, but most of them are just dumb jokes because that's what Frey does. She doesn't take a lot of things seriously, so she makes dumb jokes to, like, compensate for it. I myself do the same thing, and I'm sure somebody's accused me of being cringy before, but anyway, it's not bad at all. The over-hating of Forspoken is baffling to me, because the game is playable. It has a pretty decent plot. And the writing isn't overly awful or anything, and the voice acting's good on it. So I don't understand the hate for it, but I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep repeating myself that, hey, dialogue isn't bad, game's good. That's gonna be it for now. I'm going to try to finish up Forspoken somewhat quickly and get out the finale bit of it. So anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you for watching, and try not to die out there.